Welcome to Transformative Principle, where I help you stop putting out fires and start leading. I am your host, Jethro Jones. You can follow me on Twitter at Jethro Jones. All right, so here we are. Reject the Premise, Part 8.
Part 8.
On Transformative Principle. The odd numbers are on Danny's show, Better Leaders, Better Schools. So today, we're going to jump right in. It's funny that this is what we're talking about today, because we were just talking about it before we started chatting here, is leadership development is a luxury and all dollars must go to the kids. And that's a premise that we reject. And your tagline for Better Leaders, Better Schools is, I think, something like everyone wins when a leader gets better or something. What is that?
It's the gist, right? It's right over my shoulder there. So when you get better, everybody wins.
That's right. When you get better, everyone wins. And that's one of the things that you've said for a long time that I just love. Yeah.
Thank you.
So what else do you have to say about it?
Well, thanks for asking. First, it's good to see you again. We're recording on Descript, so you've made a move. I haven't been able to ask you about that. And I like how it says Danny. I don't know if this shows up for the viewer, right? But it says Danny in parentheses, you. Just in case I forgot that you were me and I was you. How unbelievably helpful that label is. But leadership development, is to me is not a luxury, and that has been something that I've been saying forever, right? When you get better, everybody wins. I was inspired by that phrase. I just remixed it, but I was at an event called the Global Leadership Summit, and the facilitator of that event said from the stage, right, when a leader gets better, everybody wins. So it's the same gist. I got that idea from there. But that's been the life's work for the last decade. And honestly, when I heard that phrase for the first time, Jethro, it really cut deep into my soul, because I was getting so much value and fired up and taking notes, right? All these legendary speakers. I mean, all sorts of people from amazing organizations all around the world talking about how they do what they do. Even people that were in charge of, let's say, hospitality at the Four Seasons, which has legendary hospitality. There's some sort of, and it would be hard to think about how schools might do this, but they have some sort of dollar amount where literally a busboy, right?
$2,000.
Oh, you already know the amount.
Yep.
What is it?
$2,000. Anybody at Ritz-Carlton can spend $2,000 without any question to make the experience better for the guests.
Right. So isn't that amazing? And I mean, I guess the way it is related to schools is just sort of setting the boundaries, and maybe it's not a dollar amount. Maybe it has to do with time or some kind of resource. But the point is we're here to help. We're here to serve. And also that's sort of that Japanese philosophy. I don't know the name of it, but the people closest to the problem are the best position to solve it, right? And so if you're there and you see, I don't know, the story I was told, and this was a decade ago, but basically there was something wrong with the TV. So busboy went out, got a new TV, put it up, and the guest was super happy, right?
Yeah.
So very interesting there.
I heard another story that I think is just amazing.
Let's hear it.
There was something where a guest wanted something from Hawaii. So the clerk or whoever knew about it bought a ticket to Hawaii, bought the thing, and came back on the quickest flight possible so the guest could have that, I don't know, we'll say fresh pineapple from Hawaii in the morning.
Say a lava rock.
Let's do a lava rock. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, a lava rock from Hawaii.
Yeah. So they literally bought a plane ticket, flew to Hawaii, turned around and came back just to make things better for that guest. Another story I heard was that somebody lost their engagement ring or their wedding ring. And so
on purpose or on accident?
on accident. A guest did, and so they went and got metal detectors and went over the beach to find the ring, and then made it there for them. Spent all night doing it, and put it on their room service in the morning or something like that. And
Unreal. Yeah.
I mean, that kind of stuff, like, you just like, you go stay there, and then they like go above and beyond to serve you. That
Mm,
is pretty amazing. And even if it's not that, like, let's say that you wanted eggnog and it wasn't eggnog season, so they just
boy.
told the chef to make you eggnog. I mean,
Yeah.
that's, you know, $10 maybe, but that's huge, and like, that makes you feel real special whenever something like that happens. And that's really what it comes down to, is helping people see that they are special and they do matter. And
Yeah.
that's the key. And you went to this, what was the conference you went to where you first heard about this?
Global Leadership Summit.
Global Leadership Summit. And was that an education conference? No, right?
No.
And so this is the other part. Like,
Yeah.
education conferences are great, and you and I speak at them, and we coach school leaders specifically, and that's all well and
Mm,
good, but you also
mm,
have to go outside. And when I was a principal, I did everything I could to go to conferences that were not education focused, so that I could learn other things and make those connections outside of education. That makes a big difference too.
it was an amazing event. I mean, so it wasn't education focused. It was actually put on by our church, right? And so part of the way that that organization envisioned the event was like pastors could learn a lot from industry leaders and vice versa, right? You could say the same thing and drop in principles too, right?
Yeah.
Because I'd argue actually that uh, being a teacher and then a principal actually positioned me to be able to thrive in business, you know,
Yeah.
because, especially as a teacher, let's say 150 kids, right? Five classes or whatever, okay, 200 if you're 40, right? I'm hearing about class sizes these days. But the point is, like, you're selling an idea, and it's usually like not a very cool idea to kids every day. Every day you're selling a new
Yeah.
idea. Let's learn about adverbs, right?
Yes. Yep.
Adjectives or whatever. You gotta get kids excited about that because I was a English and reading language arts, sort of teacher. And I had to convince them that it was super cool and get them bought in, right? But there's so many lessons there. Like you did it not by brute force, although some people might try that. I did it because I built relationships with the kids. I knew what they're interested in, and I brought that in the classroom, right? But how does this all relate to leadership development? It's not a luxury. Um, Everybody, needs and deserves some sort of coach or coaching community, right? In my work, when I talk about like my automatic school framework, or just generally in how I support school leaders, I say you're the lead domino. Todd Whitaker says, right, principal sneezes, the whole building catches a cold. I say you're the lead domino. So the impact you want to make, it starts with you. Like uh, you can't expect change. It's I like being bolder these days, I guess, as I'm getting older.
Yes.
It's
Me
really
too.
stupid. It's really stupid, and you're an idiot if you think like you can change a culture without changing yourself. Let's just say
Exactly.
that, right?
Yep.
And I'm listening to a book called Coming Alive, Phil Stutz and Barry Michaels. They wrote a book called The Tools. There was a Netflix documentary that people might have seen called Stutz. Um, but it's about taking control, taking ownership, you know what I mean, and having these tools to get you through stuff. But even in the context of marriage relationships, one of the stories that the authors are talking about is like, don't try to change your partner or change your kids. You change, and when you change and you can be seen as taking it seriously, whether it's following through on your word or not being as reactive or whatever it is, the family notices, the school notices, and it makes you credible, right?
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than being that leader or working for a leader who's saying all this really inspiring stuff and they're full of fill in the blank, Jethro. No, no, you can't do it. So, but you get what I'm saying, right? You're the lead domino. Last thing I want to say on this is uh Atul Gawande Checklist Manifesto. We read that year one in the mastermind back in 2016. He wrote an article in the New Yorker, which is probably over a decade old at this point. I don't even remember the article's name, but it had to do with like him as a surgeon, right? Getting a coach, hiring a coach. And the big points that resonated with me is like, okay, Jordan had a coach, LeBron has a coach, Beyonce, voice, dancing type of coach. Like all these people at the top of their game in different areas have people to help them get better. So why not school leaders? Like this is not a luxury. Like figure it out, make it work for you. You deserve it. And again, over my shoulder, right? When you get better, everybody wins. So that's all I have to
Yeah.
say on the topic. You want to see the picture? Look at how cool that is.
There you go.
Whoa.
Lead domino.
Lead
I love
domino.
it.
Boom, boom, boom. You're knocking down the
Yep.
other stuff.
Yep. So what I would add to that is a lot of times people think that you need a coach because you suck. And that is a terrible misnomer that we have in education. And it really annoys me that that is the idea because it's not true. Go ahead. You were going to
Buddy.
say something.
Well, it's all that's all BS too, because the coaches they like people that are struggling, right, and have areas of improvement, when they're assigned a coach, it's not actually like how many of them actually improve, right? And then the district's like, "You did it, and we're so proud of you." No,
Yeah.
they hired the coach to say, "You also had a coach, and you still suck, and now you're fired,"
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And I'll tell you this. I won't tell you the campus, but there was I really like 2 years ago. Oh, so fun. Work with a principal and two APs. The board basically was telling the principal, "You're a dynamic leader. We love your leadership. You've been here forever, and we're worried about the future, right? We love your APs. They get stuff done." But we don't know that they have the same type of like vision or culture, like the other stuff that a leader needs. And there were things that one of the APs was doing that was just putting off people. And it was because he was a little shy and socially awkward at times, right? And so like maybe a board member might come to school and he'd basically like not talk to them, but not because he just didn't know what to say, right? But they took that in a certain kind of way, and it was going to be very bad for this AP, like the writing was sort of on the wall. Now we had already like I had already been hired, so we were doing work together. Part of it was building their capacity, but that AP actually did figure it out, right? And kudos to the principal who said like, let's get Danny to work with the team, da da da, because he actually improved and he took the feedback and got better. But that's usually not the case because it's usually like somebody that's brought in within the district. They're not even really a coach, right? They're a supervisor. They're there to evaluate and evaluate you out. So
Yes.
you know,
Yep.
yeah,
Exactly. And so that's the stigma that we've attached to having a
yeah,
coach, but the reality is that having a coach is a sign of humility and maturity. And it
yeah,
says, I don't believe that I know everything, and I believe that I have a lot to learn, and I'm mature enough to go find someone to help me do that.
yeah.
And
Last
that
thing, oh,
go
sorry,
ahead. No, you
so
go ahead.
excited, fired up this morning. Um, I would love to hear about your mastermind experience. My mastermind experience, everybody there's not nobody's on an improvement plan. And what I find it's really interesting because it's like sort of A players, the top 1%. So many have become principal of the year, national, state, regional sort of awards, blue ribbons, all the stuff that like you might care about, sort of external sort of outcomes that you can earn, but it doesn't matter. It's the internal work and the process that matters. But that's who ends up joining. And that's sort of like an interesting irony because they're already performing really highly. So why are
Yes.
they getting coached? Because they know they haven't met their potential, right? So they're already performing at a very high level, but they want to just get like, if I got 1% better in 2026, let's say, how would that impact my business, my relationships, my family, so on and so forth? So, yeah, is that what you're seeing also in your mastermind?
Yeah, absolutely. Is the people who are in there are on the pathway to or already are winning the accolades that say you are a good principal. And
Mm,
so it doesn't make sense for them uh, to go get a coach if getting a coach means that you suck, because that's
Yeah.
not what they're doing. They're already
Yeah.
at the top of their game, and they want their game to be even higher.
Mm.
And that's the kind of thing that we're looking for. Where going and getting a coach is a sign of humility and maturity. Refusing leadership development or thinking that your district is just going to do enough just by having you in a leadership position, I think is arrogance and a waste of resources. Like, you definitely should be doing things to improve yourself on a regular basis. Um and I personally have had a coach for most of my adult life. Sometimes in a very formal, I pay money, other times in a I need someone to go talk to help me be better. But to not improve yourself is just a dereliction of duty, and a terrible thing that too many principals just go about their business and don't do what they need to.
Yeah, that's the thing. I call it sleepwalking, right? Like they're sleepwalking through their leadership in life and just on automatic, and yeah, they don't realize like how they can grow and the value they can add to their community. I think
Yeah.
we do have to address, because one of the things some of the audience might have going through their head is, oh, maybe I'm like a B player, B plus, or I'm not the A player yet. I also know when people join the mastermind, they go through a real bout with the imposter syndrome. Like, what do I have
Yes.
to contribute? And so I always say, well, you're the only one that's had your lived experiences and see life, the world, your worldview, your way. And even if somebody's like brand new as a like teacher that just became an AP, or we have this awesome dynamic leader who's actually still teacher, avid coordinator, that kind of thing, but did a program with me called Play Your Game. And like something lit up in her head, and she's like, you know what? Maybe I will go into administration. So I'm super pumped for her. But they feel like, oh, what do I have to add? And sometimes even these high performing leaders need to slow down and just have an outside perspective. Like, well, have you thought about like this, from a teacher perspective, or as a novice, just saying, why do you do it that way? And it slows the leader down to be like, huh, I don't know that I have a great answer for that. Let me think about it. You know what I mean? And they can reconsider some of that stuff too. So, anyways, if somebody is watching, listening to this and saying, oh, I'm not there yet, I'm not ready. Yes, you are, right? If you're
Yeah.
asking that question, you're ready. So just do
Yeah.
it. Um,
So
yeah.
that leads us directly into our next one, which
Oh,
is
Segway alert! Segway alert! Oh, is
segue.
that like a kazoo with the note card?
No, I was just going whoop whoop, and I just
Oh,
happened to
you're
put
doing
it.
whoop whoop.
Yeah,
Okay, I
I just
missed.
happened to put the cards in front of my face. So sorry for all you
I,
people listening on audio. You don't get the visual aspect of
you
this.
should
So
watch. You should watch as well.
the next one is leadership is lonely. And
Mm,
as the segue from the previous statement, you feel imposter syndrome
yep.
because you are isolated as a leader, and there are not people you can talk to in your building, sometimes in your school, because of all the politics, or your district because of all the
Yep.
politics that are there, and you can't
And the
be
knives
vulnerable.
to stab you in the back.
Yes, because that happens a ton. So the premise is that leadership is lonely, and we reject that, and we say that loneliness in leadership is a choice. And that is the difference, is that you choose to stay lonely and stay isolated, but it doesn't have to be that way, because there are a lot of ways for you to get support. A coach is just one of those things. The mastermind is another. Just finding other people to talk to about what you're going through and being vulnerable with them is also something that you can do. So it's not like we're saying the only way to not be lonely is to join the mastermind, though. Yes, please, that's a great way to do it, and
Yep.
we welcome it. But there's lots of ways for you to not be stuck in that, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. Go out to events. Back in the day, there were Twitter chats, but there's a lot of Voxer groups that are still going on. Um, there's online communities, Facebook. We have the Ruckus Maker Club. So, definitely, certainly, all sorts of ways that you can connect, and you should connect, because the job is too hard to be done in isolation, right? And One of the first interviews I did ages ago as well was with Greg Sacicoli. Enemies of Excellence is a book he wrote, lovely book. There's 10 enemies he describes in that, and number one's isolation, right? The number one enemy of excellence is being isolated. And so you got to get out there, you got to get connected, get uncomfortable. Uh, it's okay if you're weird or socially awkward. There's like probably like way more people that are that like that than not. And so just just lean in. We need people. We need community, and especially in a climate where it can be very divided. You know, and sort of like a lot of blaming based on like worldviews and stuff like that. So, yeah,
Yeah.
get connected. I don't have as
Yeah.
much to say, I don't think, on this one.
Yeah. I mean, just get connected. That's really it. So here's my picture. The
Nice.
traditional leader is just a single point, and the ruckus maker leader that rejects the premise has a whole bunch of people around him or her to help
Yes.
make that happen.
Yes. I do not know where those cards are, so I looked for them, but I couldn't find that one.
All right. Well, maybe next time you'll have it. Who knows? All
Well,
right.
it's
Then
it's my biggest flaw, right? Like organization and like that kind of stuff. So I need somebody in locally, right, in person that could be like, "Here's your three cards, you big
yeah.
dummy."
Yeah. So what's so funny about that as a little side note here,
Side note
I
alert.
side note alert, here we go. I I also struggle with organization, and so I am very anal about putting systems in place to make sure that I stay on top of things. And for me, without those systems in place, it just is not going to happen. So my system, I'm just going to tell you, because for those who haven't heard, we wrote all these ideas out on note cards, and we
Yes.
wrote four note cards for each one with something on each note card. I took this stack and I have it in my desk drawer right here to my left. I have
Mm.
in the very back of the drawer, I have one pile that is what we've done already, and the other pile is what we haven't done yet. And I do not touch these except for when we're doing the podcast because I know if I take them anywhere else, if like I do something else with them, I'm going to put them somewhere else, I'm going to lose them, and this spot right here is
It's the
where they have
system.
to stay. Yep. And that
Yeah.
system, I know every time we do this recording, I'm going to be in a good spot and ready to go because my cards are right there, and I
In
just
the
pulled the
drawer.
next 12 off, and we're ready to do the next 3 for that week.
Yeah. Did you wrote yours on the way to Japan? Is that right?
I did. Yes.
Yeah, and I wrote mine at a coffee shop in Morocco, Marrakesh, Morocco. Um, and the interesting thing is, like, we were working off the same document, right?
Uh-huh.
But somehow, I think there was some differences in interpretation, and
Yes, that was
I don't think I've lost cards. I think I've just interpreted differently, which is totally
yes.
fine. And my system sucks because here's my system. I don't have a drawer. I have a standing desk, no drawers. Like I need a
Yep.
drawer. And I had a stack, and then I just threw them in the closet.
Yep.
And then I actually I had them stacked like this, so I can easily go through them, right?
Mhm.
Uh, and then I found, I'd find what we're talking about today. And then I took the ones we've talked about and I put them in another pile. And then but still, they're missing, Jethro. They're
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
missing. So sorry about that. I
That's all
will tell
right.
you this though. I am rearranging my office, which is awesome. I upgraded some tech stuff because I haven't got a
Oh.
new computer in 5 years. So,
Oh, that's always
how's the
fun.
picture? Is
It's
this pretty
good.
good?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the best part of reorganizing, I literally moved everything out. Not
Yeah.
all the furniture, the desk didn't come out, but all the books, everything out of the closet, and I'm not bringing it all back in, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to make some decisions there to get rid of some stuff. So that's a system that's going to be supportive. Unfortunately, it has nothing to do with the cards, and I will never find those last cards. I do have the next one though. So what's up for that?
So,
Innovation. Yeah.
yeah, the next one is innovation. Uh oh, interesting. Innovation is expensive. It has to involve technology. It's risky. It's scary. All these bad things. And really, the reality is, innovation is a mindset, and it doesn't cost a thing.
Right.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'm going to start talking about this one because I'm going to give a little alert dissertation update.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, that didn't work out so well. That definitely did not come over the recording. So that's going to
Oh,
be an
seriously?
awkward. Yeah. The something
Man.
happened and it just canceled it out. So anyway, maybe the upload will get it. But here's the
The
thing.
script, do your job.
That's right. I did a for my dissertation. It's a dissertation in practice, and my focus is how principals can use AI for innovation instead of just efficiency.
Right
Because
on.
everybody's talking about using AI to do things faster than they did before, and nobody's
Yeah.
asking the question, should we still be doing those things?
Yeah.
And
Let's turn out more garbage
yes,
faster.
exactly, which is exactly what's happening, and
Amazing.
that's how teachers are using it, and that's how students are using it. And the real challenge is that innovation really has to be a mindset. You have to be constantly looking for ways to improve things, and that's what the key is. How do you do this problem? How do you solve it in a better way? That's what innovation is really all about. And that is way more a mindset than anything else. So I did this full day training in Wyoming a couple weeks ago, about a month ago now, and it was a great experience because what I do is I set people up for frustration intentionally, because people think that AI can do anything, and it can. And that's what's so fascinating about it, is that if you tell it to do X, Y, or Z, then it'll do X, Y, or Z. But if you're not an expert in that thing already, and then you won't see where it falls short. And so
Yep.
the way that I approach this with the principles I was working with is, I said you have to define the problem that you're trying to solve first.
Mm.
So whatever that problem is, you need to define it clearly, and then you can figure out how to make it, figure out a real solution to it. And what inevitably happens every single time I've done this, and especially this time, is that people try to get AI to solve their problem, and then it doesn't work, because it's really easy to get AI to do anything, but it's really hard to get it to do something specific. And so you can't just do a one shot on anything. You If you want something specific, you're going to have to massage it and work on it in some way. And so that's what I do with the principles, is I say, figure out your problem first, and then figure out how you can use AI to help you solve that. And then what inevitably happens is that people say, "Oh, maybe I don't actually need to solve this problem. I need to solve this other problem over here." And
Yep.
and
The
they
root cause.
realize, yeah, they look at the cause differently because the solution isn't working out as well as they thought, and so they have to go through these iterations to figure out how to make things work better. And that is an incredibly powerful and freeing thing for people to experience, and it is awesome. So innovation really is a mindset first, and then it's about how you actually approach that problem. And if you approach
Mm.
it
Mm.
in a way that you are willing to kick out the things that may not make sense, then that can be powerful. And this is where I think that my picture illustrates it better. The innovation needs to be applied to the problem and looking at it, not to the solution. Innovation is not in our solutions, it's in how we're looking at the problem. That's where the innovation comes in.
Yeah. I love that reframe and focusing on the problem is so powerful. And having that right is essential, for any good output. Uh, and you definitely, I like how you talked about the one shot too, because sometimes I'm like chatting with AI and I realize, man, I've been doing this for a while. We've been putting in some real work, and I'm happy with the direction it's going. But it's certainly like I didn't just type in a prompt and then got an answer in 5 seconds, and now I'm done. And I could like, I guess, retire or something, right? Like, there's actually a lot of effort, involved with it. But if you put in that effort, you can create some interesting things. So here's a quote from Steve Jobs: "Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower." So that's a little nice gut punch for the audience. You're
Yep.
welcome. Jethro told me to say that. And a few examples of innovation costing nothing. And by the way, I love that you also talked about how it's a mindset, right? Because something I'm obsessed with these days is the idea of uh, um, intention and then action. That's really all that matters. You know what I mean? Like the thing you want to do. Okay, now how are you going to do it? Like, let's get there as quickly as possible instead of just like talking about it. There's a difference between people who write books like us and people who talk about writing books, right? Like you either write the book or you don't. So, all right, few examples of innovation costs nothing. We did a thing at Brooks College Prep called Seminar Day, and it was just a reimagining of the schedule. The faculty signed off to actually work more hours, 9 out of 10 days, school days, so that every Wednesday could be a special half day where there were no classes. And we just did some really interesting stuff where it could be anything from Zumba to hair braiding to robotics and musical performances and everything in between, right? And the way we got there, right, cost nothing, nothing. It was mindset, it was buy-in, from the group. We revamped the computer lab, and got all new machines and furniture. But wait, Danny, that stuff costs money. It does, but we didn't pay for it. We built very strong relationships, and this was in Chicago, where there's some like really great organizations that wanted to support schools. They bankrolled it and got to slap their name on it and have very positive press. But in reality, it cost us some time in building relationships. It really actually didn't cost us anything. In the book, The Beautiful Constraint, there's can if thinking. We can do this really hard thing, innovative thing, if these things are also true, right? And so it has you think through stuff that you want to see come alive. And yeah, just think about it from, 5, 6, 7 different levels. I could go on, but you get it, right? Like, so innovation really could be free, maybe a little bit of sweat equity and relationship building, or reimagining what's possible on campus, but doesn't necessarily cost money. And here's my image. There's boundaries, there's constraints, right, all around the card. So 4 sort of boundaries, constraints.
Yeah.
And in the middle, it says innovation lives here, right? So it's not just like innovation for innovation's sake, or one of the deadliest sins of school leadership, which is let's just keep meeting and talking about it, guys.
That's
No,
right.
intention, action. Let's do some stuff.
Yes.
You could waste so much time. We could do, a 10-hour podcast about how bad meetings can suck in school systems. And also, that's back to the leadership development piece. If you're waiting for your district, hey, you know what I'm looking forward to this week? The principal meeting, where I'm going to watch 100 slides that
Yep.
are dense with text, lots of bullet points, hard to read, and the presenter's just going to read me the slides
Yep.
because that's a really
Yeah.
good way to
Yeah.
present.
I called that the parade of presenters meeting. And that's what it was. It was just a parade of presenters, and they just came in, presented, and then left. And it was like, what's the point of this?
If
There's not discussion, there's not development, there's not anything. It's just, we need to get this information into your brain.
yeah,
That definitely
yeah.
could have been an email,
Yeah, we
but then
did it.
nobody would read it.
High five,
Yeah.
district system. Now they know, so we can hold them accountable. I think, like, if they did it, WWE style, and everybody that presented, the parade of
Yeah.
presenters had an entrance song, that would
Yeah.
at least liven things up. So
Yeah. But it would still be fluff that doesn't mean anything, right? So there
yeah,
wouldn't be that much change. It
yeah,
would just be a little more entertaining. But like,
yeah,
that's where uh I like what you said about the boundary and the constraints, because that does
yeah, yeah,
create and it forces creativity when there are boundaries. And you have to have those things, which again is why it's a mindset, and you
mm,
have to approach it with that view. All
right
right,
on.
so there we go. There's our 3 for this week, the premises that we reject, and we look forward to seeing you on our next edition, which will be on Better Leaders, Better Schools. And if you're listening to this in the Reject the Premise podcast, it'll be in the next episode. So thanks, Danny, for being here.
You know. All
Appreciate
right.
you.
Thanks, Jethro. Great to see you.